Is Petr Yan's resume good? We're going to discuss this in this video. We're going to go over his best wins, worst losses, and what has he done in the bantamweight division. Let's start off with his UFC debut against Tetaro Ishihara. He goes out there, beats him in the first round by TKO. In his second fight in the UFC, fights Jin So-sun, and obviously wins by decision. These are just two regular wins. He has way better wins in his resume. Goes on to fight Douglas Silva de Andrade. Regular win, but still a pretty insane win because Douglas Silva de Andrade is still fighting in the UFC, and at the time he was like 25-2 when he fought Petr Yan. So yeah, it's a pretty decent win. He goes on to fight John Dodson in his second fight in the UFC. Dodson, coming from the flyweight division after losing to DJ, goes on to the comes up to the bantamweight division, fights a couple bantamweights, loses to Petr Yan. Next fight, loses to Jimmy Rivera. Pretty decent bantamweight as well. Fifth fight in the UFC, he goes on to fight Uriah Faber. First of all, beautiful head kick KO in the third round by Petr Yan. This kind of blew him up into stardom. And the reason why I have Uriah Faber as a good win is because he was part of the old regime of the WEC, of Dominic Cruz, Renan Barão, Frankie Edgar. And I know this was Faber's last fight in the UFC, but to have Faber on your resume, it's still a good win for Petr Yan. But after that, he goes on to fight Jose Aldo. Remember, Henry Cejudo vacate the belt. They make this matchup. Aldo at the time had only one fight in the bantamweight division, had just lost to Marlon Moraes. And before that, he only had 4 losses in the featherweight division. He had lost to Conor McGregor, Max Holloway twice, and Alexander Volkanovski. And Petr Yan goes out there and ground and pound finish in the 5th round. But the reason why I have Jose Aldo as a good win and not as an elite win is because what he did after in his bantamweight career. Goes on to fight Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, which are decent wins in the bantamweight division, and Rob Font as well. But then after those 3 fights, he goes on to fight Merab Dvalishvili, retires, or semi-retires because he comes back a year later, fights Jonathan Martinez, who was ranked 15 at the time, but goes on to lose to Mario Bautista and Amos Zahabi, who are the new regime of contenders in the bantamweight division. So yeah, that's why I have Jose Aldo as a good win. But after that, catastrophe strikes. The trajectory of Petr Yan's career completely changes after the illegal knee against Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling puts on a masterclass, Oscar-winning performance. But yeah, he goes on to fight Corey Sandhagen for the interim belt because Sterling was out for a year with an injury. At the time, Sandhagen, beautiful performance against Frankie Edgar, flying knee, but then they match him up against TJ Dillashaw, which just didn't make sense to me. I thought he should have fought for the title at that point, but whatever. He loses to TJ Dillashaw, but gets the matchup against Petr Yan for the interim belt, loses against Petr Yan, and I picked Corey Sandhagen at the time because I thought he was going to win, but he didn't. But Petr Yan beats him. They go on to unify the belt against Aljamain Sterling. Petr Yan loses again. And at this point, we're thinking, damn, okay, Petr Yan just needs to go on a nice little win streak, and maybe he'll get back to the belt. In his next fight after that, he goes and he fights Sean O'Malley, and arguably won this fight. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought he won this fight, but a lot of people called it robbery. A lot of people called it a close fight. I honestly thought Petr Yan beat Sean O'Malley in this fight. But yeah, Sean O'Malley goes on to win and fights Aljamain Sterling later on. After this, Merab Dvalishvili goes on to defeat Petr Yan, and that's 3 L's in a row for Petr Yan. He gets ragdogged by Merab Dvalishvili, and we're just questioning ourselves like, okay, will Petr Yan ever make it back to the belt? Because at this point, his story is just sad. He goes on, illegal knee, loses the belt, and never gets it back. Whatever. He goes on to fight Song Yadong. Decent win. I have it as a decent win, as a regular win. He goes on to fight Davidson Figueiredo, who at the time had just finished coming back from that saga against Moreno, had a couple wins in the bantamweight division, and then goes on to fight Petr Yan. And at that point, I thought, okay, if Petr Yan beats Davidson Figueiredo, he might have a chance at getting the title back, or at least getting a title shot, because at the time, Merab Dvalishvili was just beating everybody, had beat Sean O'Malley twice, and we were just like, bro, we need a new contender for Merab Dvalishvili. Petr Yan's the guy. He goes on to defeat Davidson Figueiredo. I have it as a good one because of what Davidson Figueiredo did in you know, not just in the beginning of his flyweight career. I mean, not just what he did in his flyweight career, but in the beginning of this bantamweight career. Because after that, his bantamweight career has been a little bit shaky after he lost to Petr Yan. But it's a good win still. Then, after this, he goes on to fight Marcus McGee. And I was kind of just like, he didn't really need to fight Marcus McGee. But at the time, it was going to be Umar against him. There was rumors of that. But then Umar got injured. And Petr Yan wanted to be active. He goes on to fight Marcus McGee, who his best win at the time was Jonathan Martinez. And Jonathan Martinez hasn't fought in like so long. But yeah, he beats Marcus McGee. He finally gets his title shot against Merab Dvalishvili. Beats Merab Dvalishvili in a beautiful performance where he goes out there, master classes him on the feet, stops the takedowns, and yeah, he is the champ again. And the real question is now, at 33 years old, what is pretty much next for Petr Yan? He just finished having back surgery, and there's a lot of rumors going on saying that Sean O'Malley might get another title shot again. Hopefully not. Hopefully they give it to Merab Dvalishvili, because I feel like, you know, they're 1-1. You know, let's see who wins in this third fight. It'd be a lot more interesting. I think Petr Yan, if he does what he did against Merab Dvalishvili in their second fight, he will defend his belt and win. But first of all, the question is Petr Yan's resume good? I think it's good. I think it's a really good resume. It's a mixed bag of unks in here with Davidson, you know, it's a mixed bag with Jose Aldo and Faber, right? And then you have some new contenders in Sanhagen, and I don't want to say Figueiredo's a new contender, but he was at the time in the bantamweight division. He has one elite win against Merab Dvalishvili, and Merab Dvalishvili, let's be honest, he is the bantamweight GOAT. Unless Petr Yan goes out to fight like 4 more times, defeats Merab, defeats Sean O'Malley and another contender, like, okay, maybe Petr Yan becomes the bantamweight GOAT there. But it's a good resume, dude, because he has a bunch of unks in here. He has a bunch of new contenders in here, and he only has 4 losses, and it's against Aljamain Sterling, which, to be honest with you, what Aljamain's doing in the featherweight division is not even that bad. His next fight is against Yusuf Salal. Imagine if he goes on to fight and beats Yusuf Salal. Like, that'd be crazy. But I think this is a good resume. I think Petr Yan has a good resume. And now the next question is, what has he done in the bantamweight division? I think he's done a lot, dude. He's done a lot. Like, he's beaten the GOAT right now in Merab Dvalishvili, who beat him. He went on a losing streak, a really bad one. Changed the trajectory of his career again. Goes on to fight 3 more times. Wins 3 times. And then beats Merab. Like, come on, that is amazing. That is amazing to come back to. And imagine this guy coming into the UFC. I mean, not coming into the UFC, but, you know, rising in the UFC. He was becoming a star, and he had just defeated Jose Aldo, who at the time was still like the featherweight GOAT before what Alexander Volkanovski had done and the rest of his career. So I think Petr Yan's resume, I think it's a good resume. It's not an amazing resume, but I still think it's a good resume. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm JNAPS MMA. Like and subscribe.